I'm Sharon Brett Kelly and I'm standing in front of Karanga-a-Hape train station, the entrance to it, just off K Road. This is the Beresford Square entrance, and it's kind of the pride and joy of the people who are behind this big City Rail Link project. Today on The Detail, we are heading down into the depths of the City Rail Link project to see how it all works behind the scenes and where they're at, because in as little as 7 months' time, people will be actually catching the trains and travelling under Auckland city streets. So we're off to find out more. The stations and the platforms look like they're so close to finished, but we'll have to wait several more months before opening day. Alexia Russell joins me as we talk to 5 key people about the thousands of tests, the security and preparation for emergencies. Also, what's behind the delay and the cost blowout.
Have you been getting a lot of people coming by and just peering in? Because it looks like a real station, like when you get overseas.
It's really exciting, isn't it? It's again the last 5%, but there's still a lot of work to be done on the station.
Do you get that kind of pressure at barbecues? When's it going to be open?
Oh, constantly.
How confident are you that this time next year we'll be going up those escalators?
Probably a lot more confident than many of the stakeholders that you'll hear in the media would probably suggest.
The City Rail Link will cost $5.5 billion, nearly double the first estimates. It's New Zealand's largest ever transport infrastructure project, funded 50-50 by Auckland Council and the government, and it will quadruple the city's rail capacity. So here we are in one of the old parts of Auckland, really, off Karanga-a-Hape Road.
So this is the Mercury Lane entrance. And so opposite the old George Courts department building, which is apartments, and the Mercury Theatre next door.
That is Adrian Price, Head of Completion for Karanga-a-Hape Station for Auckland Transport. In a moment, you'll also hear from CRL boss Pat Brockie. But what stands out here at the entrance is the artwork.
So this was designed by Ruben Kirkwood. So he was the mana whenua artist who did all of this station. You can see there's big pare on the outside, so 3 big precast panels. And then if you just look inside, there is a big kauri snail shell motif on the ceiling.
Oh, now I read something about that. There's a reason for that, isn't there, about the kauri?
Yes, so this entrance is themed around the story of Tāne Mahuta and the separation of earth and sky. And so this has a sort of forest motif. I think that's right, Pat.
They used to have kauri forests on the ridgeline here, so it's got a historical significance.
Just 50 metres away we had kauri forests once upon a time. So now it's covered in buildings and motorway, right?
That's right. So
yeah.
Don't forget your history.
Okay. It's got everything in place so that you can look up and see the timetable screen up there. There's the ticketing machines right there. Yep. It's all happening. The customer service centre looks ready to open, but there's just a few bits and pieces.
Yeah, finishing touches. So yeah, you can see the floor is all finished. So yeah, we'll go through the gate line here.
In a lot of ways, this looks very familiar, doesn't it? I mean, if you've travelled on a train or an underground, the design is very familiar.
Yes, and the architects, Grimshaw's, are also the same architects that did the Elizabeth line in London. So there is some commonality that they've got experience.
This is in the behind the scenes.
Yeah, exactly. So this door separates the back of house to the front of house.
Right.
So
Staff only.
Staff only. Yeah. There's a storage room.
Crowd control room, that says.
Yeah. So essentially that would be where cones, barriers, and things like that are kept. So
it'll be at least 7 months before the new stations and the 3.5 kilometre long double track tunnel under Auckland City Centre open. That's more than 10 years after it started. Alan Trestour, head of CRL delivery for Auckland Transport, says we're at the crucial testing phase, and that's not just 1 or 2 dummy runs.
So there's over 13,000 tests that we've got to do in all the stations. 13,000.
Altogether,
yes.
13,000. So it's not just about running the trains and
Absolutely
timing them
not.
so that they go to the timetable.
Absolutely not. It's about making sure that the stations are also effectively delivering the system performance that we're asking them to do.
How long have you been doing the testing for?
3 to 4 months, but it goes for a very long period of time. Yeah. It's about getting all the systems at the same level of maturity, and then once you get to that first step, as I said, you go into the next phase.
You don't actually know what launch day is yet, do you? I mean, all we know is... Oh, OK, Pat. Pat's.
You've probably got to ask Patrick and Stacey.
Oh, OK.
Well, AT will decide on opening day, but we're just trying to complete the works, and so our target is 30 June for that, and we're just going as hard as we can. But with the systems testing and commissioning in particular, you just don't know what issues you might come across. But it's quite intense testing at the moment, and it's complex. The last part of the job is always the most complicated, and you don't know what issues that will arise. At the moment, there aren't any showstoppers, and people are working really hard. We still have 800 people on site across the 3 stations, so it's still pretty intense.
Have you hit any glitches yet? Major glitches?
You run into glitches all the time, but nothing that's a showstopper for us at the moment.
OK, what would be a showstopper?
Something that might, for example, change our target dates.
So, Stacey, what's your role in all of this? when we come to testing?
I mean, it's sort of overseeing and making sure things are tracking to plan, right? And, I mean, whilst we're talking about the City Rail Link today, we've got to be mindful it's part of a much broader network, yeah? I mean, we've been transforming the bus network for, the last 8 years in terms of that too, to maximise integration into the rail corridor, to get more people on trains. It's one big system, and this is a part of it, so great part of it, but we have to make sure it all works together.
That's Stacey van der Putten of Auckland Transport, which will take over from the project owner, CRL, when it's all finished and run the trains. It's a big deal for commuters. For example, you'll be able to get from the city centre to Eden Park in 7 minutes. But it's not going to deal to all of Auckland's traffic jams, and Stacey will tell us more. But let's get to Alexia Russell, who's in a room with a big red button and the boss of health and safety.
I'm Russell McMullan from City Rail Link. I'm the Head of Assurance and Integration for the CRL project.
So that's the overview of the whole thing?
Yes. I sit across testing and commissioning, asset management, and all of the safety assurance for the entire project.
Okay, so speaking of safety, we just walked into a kind of an office but with an extreme amount of screens. What happens here?
This is a station control room. Each station has its own centralised control room that can operate the station, monitor all the fire panels, monitor any of the safety systems that relate to public and building safety. We also have a full integrated control room upstairs that can see all of the stations collectively.
So when something goes wrong, you can see what's going wrong, and there's a very enticing big red button on the wall that says "Do not touch" in huge letters. What does that do?
So in the event of something really bad happening, should it occur, in the very unlikely event, that button can be used by staff to send a signal to all of the train drivers that there's a major incident and that they need to stop the trains wherever they are.
When you're testing these things, is it all going really smoothly, or are you finding glitches every day? What's the kind of rate of things that you work out need help?
So the key purpose of testing is to uncover any little things that might cause an interruption once the railway's in service. And we've found a few meaningful things that need to be resolved, which some technical issues, some minor adjustments to various ventilation systems and things like that, just those sort of normal things that you might expect to reveal, nothing significant. We've managed to run our trains at the ultimate required speed and capacity through the railway, so we've proven that we can get people and trains and passengers through at the expected rate that we need to get them through, not just for opening but for all the future years ahead.
Have you run a simulation where you've got like crowds of people down here after a concert crowding onto a train?
Yes, we've run a number of passenger modelling simulations to work out where people tend to go, where they, even the people that aren't behaving as you'd normally expect them to behave, where they might go and what they might do. And we have some trials coming up that will exercise that with a group of representative members of the public.
Where do you get those people from?
We're currently exploring things like staff and families and some disability groups and other stakeholders that give us a full representation of what the public might behave like.
Because if you get someone in a wheelchair who's stuck on this platform in an emergency, what's the plan?
So there's plans for all levels of ability, including a separate fire evacuation safe space with a separate fire intervention escalator for fire department use only, specifically to evacuate those that are less abled.
Has there been one main thing that's held this up, or has it just been a series of things?
Well, there were some delays during COVID, and that just reduced our efficiency and our delivery. But the analogy I give to family and friends and people at barbecues is, if you've ever built a house and you think about, the builder gives you a date and you work towards a date, any little things can trip you up and cause that date to move, and so you cater for that. But the CRL is about 1,000 times more complicated than a house, and it's about 1,000 times the size of your general house. So you can generally expect things to just, when they catch you out, can just add to the time that it takes.
Now, the escalators aren't going today, so we head down the emergency stairs and past the fire service only lift. They're not the only emergency stairs, and if there was an issue, passengers would probably be walking up the escalators, one of which is the longest in New Zealand.
We have a train every about just less than 4 minutes during the peak, so 16 trains per hour per direction. So that's, a train in less than 4 minutes for the 2.5 hour morning peak.
And if it was at capacity, how many people would be on it?
750 per train load. So
if there's an emergency, that's a lot of people pouring out and into these stations, So you've got to have lots of these kind of escape routes, I suppose.
100%. It's really important to have the right level emergency evacuation.
And do you do drills for that kind of thing?
100%. So those drills are coming in the new year.
Okay, with lots of people,
with quite a few people and the fire emergency services as well.
So how far down are we now underground?
I think we're around 40 metres underground, about 9 floors.
Is it?
But 9 floors of stairs. I think we've got 3 banks of escalators, and this one's probably about 40 metres. So, particularly you can imagine when we were actually building the station, it was actually quite important to get the materials down here in the most efficient way you possibly could. So this one's taken a little bit longer than the other 2 stations to build.
Is it? Because it's so far down?
Because it's so far down.
And there's the train line
over there.
So there's
the platform, platform on that side and platform on the other side.
A lot of New Zealanders aren't au fait with this kind of travel.
Well, I think it's new. With CRL, they'll be state-of-the-art stations, right? Just like nothing to envy to Melbourne Metro that just opened over the weekend, or Sydney Metro that opened a couple of years ago. So,
you sound like you might be Australian.
I am, yeah. So what's my background? I have worked on some of those projects I mentioned.
And what makes this project different to others that you've worked on?
What I find is beautiful on this project is I think the snapshot to cultural heritage that's integrated in the designs. It's been a high level collaboration to get there, with iwis being part of that process. And then secondly, I think the complexity of this project is more about the interfaces.
When you say interfaces, you mean all the different companies?
That's right, all the different agencies and organisations. Auckland Transport has to obviously work with City Rail Link Limited and the Link Alliance, but we also have to work with Key Rail, and we have to work with our operational partners, being Auckland One Rail and Downer, who are doing the operations and the maintenance of the stations.
And when you talk about, the cultural aspect of it, why is that important?
These are pieces of infrastructure that are going to keep a legacy to Aucklanders, and I think it's really important that they represent all the values, the local cultural values that are enshrined in the life of Aucklanders.
That's great, thank you.
The last one. Sorry, I won't need that one.
Putting on our blue plastic slippers.
What we'll do is we'll go into platform 2, but just before we go through the back, I'll just give you a quick briefing on the platform safety protocols. So we'll just
Here's CRL Chief Pat Brockie with Alexia.
The platforms are approximately 203 metres long, and that was increased when we moved from 6 cars to 9 cars as part of the scope, so it allows more passengers through the stations.
How does that compare to, say, something running through Sydney?
I think Sydney, 6 cars. Ours are longer. That was just a design decision taken a while ago.
Can you see a time when there's so many people using this that you're trying to push to get on the trains?
I certainly hope so, yeah. Maybe not, it won't be immediately, but over time. This is a long-term asset, 100-year life at least. As Auckland's population grows, I think you'll see the cars very busy.
These cultural elements are really embedded, aren't they, in the whole fabric of the stations?
And that's been working actively with the 8 iwi involved in the project and the Mana Whenua Forum that we have. It's a monthly meeting, but they had a lot of input into the design of the stations, and you can see that with the finishes and those cultural elements in the ceilings and other parts and the exterior of the stations as well.
So like at the moment we're standing under, well, it's a ceiling, but it's curved and it's wavy.
Yes. That's right. And some of the contractors, you think they'd look at that and go, oh, that's going to be difficult and slightly annoying. But actually, a lot of the contractors, when they were given something that was a little bit unconventional with all the curves and so on, they actually embraced it. And you talk to some of the workers, they loved working on it because it was a little bit different. It weren't straight lines.
It's going to look great. But the big question for AT's Stacey van der Putten is it going to solve Auckland's congestion woes?
It can go a long way. It's not going to solve everything. But here's the thing. I think we need to actually build people's confidence in using train services again. As I said, it's been incredibly disrupted, and I think showing that consistency and reliability of services is going to encourage more people to come. Fact is, if we don't change how we're doing things currently in terms of our travel behaviour, things are going to get worse, right?
And there was quite a lot of disruption, wasn't there?
Without a doubt, but it's not just the City Rail link. So what's needed to happen is basically the entire of the rail networks needed to be renewed. So there has been a lot of closures.
Expected closures, I mean?
Yeah, look, in terms of the last couple of years, we've definitely worked with Rail to get a lot more planned about the approach to that. Obviously, we've got another big push over this Christmas break too, so a lot more can be done.
What do you mean another big push? There'll be more closures?
Yeah, absolutely. So an extended summer closure over from the 27th of December through to the end of January. So not ideal, but it is it is the last of the extended closures we will see for Auckland. So when you don't have your train network working, obviously you need a hell of a lot more buses to be able to facilitate people's journeys, right? There's only so many buses to go around. So it's been quite the exercise over the recent years in terms of making that happen. Yeah,
there's no good time.
There's no good
stop
time.
The trains.
Yeah, and I know Aucklanders are really looking forward to be able to using trains on public holidays because basically every public holiday for the last few years there's been no trains.
Going back up the emergency stairs now.
141
steps. Yeah. Wow. Oh, well, maybe we'll come away from here because it's a kind of a serious question. How will you manage the homelessness situation? Because these stations, they're clean, they're comfortable, they're safe, they're dry. No surprise that they would be a place that people might want to come to for shelter. Do you have management for that?
Yeah, we do, absolutely. And we work with, other authorities as well as associations in order to try and support that too. Yeah, I mean, it's not unlike that we have right now down in Waitemata Station or our other key stations in terms of that.
So how do you do it?
We get police support with that. So if we do need to try and help people relocate from certain areas, then that's what we do.
These stations won't be open 24 hours.
No, I mean, there obviously will be a pretty beefy security presence. We're looking at how police will support, which they are. But yeah, I mean, look, fundamentally it's been really interesting over the last, I would say, 4 or 5 years coming out of COVID, how different things are, right? And so,
what do you mean?
Well, just
in terms of homelessness.
Yeah, homelessness, antisocial behaviour. Antisocial behaviour has probably been the biggest sort of thing that we've sort of noticed that has occurred. Yeah, it is a problem, right? It's not okay not to pay your way on public transport. So everybody that evades a fare, it means that it requires more public subsidies. So getting back to some of those fundamentals in terms of you pay for your public transport.
But have you had to beef up security already?
Yeah, we have, absolutely. Yeah. Of course we have. And, you think about it. 5 years ago or 6 years ago. Now, we weren't talking about bus driver protection shields. Now we are. Now we're retrofitting them. Now we're rolling them out because we need to protect our people.
We'll see.
Yeah,
Main thing is to get to the finish line.
absolutely. We're at Beresford Square entrance on the other side of K Road. Pat Brockie says it was a bit of an afterthought. So, Pat, you insisted we come here to Beresford Square, which is the second entrance to Karanga-a-Hape. Why?
Oh, I just think it's a beautiful entrance, and you can see hills in the background, the Waitakaris. Visually, it's a stunning station, and I think it will be very popular with commuters.
And this was an afterthought?
So it was something where we added additional scope through the process, so it was decided that we did need a second entrance, and it wasn't part of the original plans.
Did that add to the higher cost?
It did, yes. I mean, adding a whole new entrance and the escalators and lifts down to the platforms and the concourse area does add significant cost, but I think with the volume of passengers coming through here, it'll justify itself.
There has been a lot of talk over the years about how much this has cost. I mean, that must have put a lot of stress on you and the team here in terms of making sure you deliver and you deliver well.
That's right. Oh, well, we take that seriously. It's public money and we have to do a good job within that public purse that we have. We have had some scope changes we talked about with Beresford Square. Platforms being longer, they were 6 cars originally, went to 9 cars. So platforms are longer as a result. We also future-proofed it with the ability to put platform screen doors on the platforms. So that was another scope change. So it's been the odd scope change that requires additional funding. The biggest one really since 23 was the funding increase for COVID. And these are costs that couldn't be avoided. We lost 283 days impacted by COVID, 3.2 million man hours lost, and that was across the country, of course, but we were impacted. The supply chain was impacted, the ability to get specialised workers into the country was challenging, so there was significant additional cost because of COVID, which was unavoidable.
Russell, what's it like to be nearly at the end of your, how many years? 9 years?
9 years, yeah.
You were only going to do 1 year?
I was going to do 1 year and ended up staying for the rest of it. Looking forward to it finishing and being open so I can go on and do something different.
I can't believe it, but you've been doing a PhD at the same time as you've been working here.
Yes. In and around 2021, I had a good chat to my boss at the time, Sean Sweeney, and thought, how can we really build on some work that I'd done prior to that around ensuring that all of the system safety stuff on the project was tied to global best practice and academia and everything that we could draw on within New Zealand. And my research is focused on how designers influence the safety of transport infrastructure, really drawing on this project in terms of providing a contribution to the global knowledge base around designing of major infrastructure projects.
Is it what you imagined it would be?
I'm blown away by the architecture. It's an area that I haven't had a lot of opportunity to work in and around, but seeing it all come to life has just been absolutely incredible. It's one thing that I think the public should be really proud of when they see it.
Health and Safety Head Russell McMullan ending our tour of the City Rail Link. Thanks also to Pat Brockie, Alan Trestour, Stacey van der Putten and Adrian Price. The Detail is a newsroom production supported by RNZ and NZ On Air. This episode was produced by Alexia Russell and engineered by Alex Harmer. I'm Sharon Brett Kelly. Ka kite. Samoa. Kia ora.
Thank you so much.